Well, I had myself on mute and guess we need to hear my voice. Welcome, everybody. Hi, good to see you.
Hello.
And who am I talking to?
Well, this is Jen. I'm driving in, so I'll be there shortly.
Okay. We do have a quorum. Okay. We're going to have agenda approval. And do I have a motion? Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor of accepting that, say aye or raise your hand and wave at us.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign? Thank you. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from last month?
I'll motion. This is
Thank you.
Eric.
Okay,
There.
Mary, thank you.
So I have Eric first, Mary second.
Yes.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
about public,
How about a vote?
good idea. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Yes. We are going to introduce ourselves. And I am Marilyn Nancy, and I have been representing Colorado Springs seniors.
I'm Debbie Levins. Just gonna talk over here. So we can help. It's not going on.
Bill Bowles, Park County.
Sorry, if I could ask, while we can hear everybody in the room, if we don't have the microphones on, the people online can't hear us. And it's the one that looks like the face with the 3 lines going off of it.
It's not the microphone one.
That's right, yeah.
That's what I can.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And then, yep, there you go.
I'm Debbie Levins Stankiewicz. I represent Colorado Springs and I am also the vice chair. Thank you.
Bill Bowles, Park County.
Mary Kemp, El Paso County. Phyllis Huggins, El Paso County. Still.
Joe Ruth, Colorado Springs.
So Melissa with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging. And as we are gathered here today in this room with more folks showing up in person, which is wonderful, just a couple of reminders. We do have microphones in front of us and try to remember to turn them on. And then when you get done, turn them off. So that we won't be picking up any other background noise while other folks are talking. And so I'm going to now turn mine off and turn it over to our next person.
Just touch it. Just
Jim Woodard, representing Teller County.
touch it.
Sure, I'm happy to introduce myself, Jared Verner, Public Information Officer for PPHCG and PPAAA, and I will go ahead, with your permission, Madam Chair, go ahead and go through those online for a roll call, if that works. Let's start with Eric Bidwell.
I'm Eric Bidwell. I'm a manager with the Department of Human Services, and I'm one of the representatives for El Paso County.
Thank you. B. Babbitt.
Hi, I'm Bee Babbitt. I represent Northern El Paso County on the RAC.
Thank you. Mark Bowers.
Yes, I'm with Fountain Valley Senior Center and I am down south in Fountain.
Thank you. Jen Nimmo, who I just awareness she is on her way in, so she'll be joining us in person. But Jen, if you want to introduce yourself, or if you're able to.
Sure. Jen Nimmo. I'm with Colorado Community Health Alliance, Colorado Medicaid. I represent Park, Teller, and El Paso counties.
All right. So while we do have other people online, those are the other members of the RAC, Madam Chair. So.
And Jared, I would like to go ahead and introduce the other folks that are online, and then we'll finish in the room here in a second. But just because we are doing our ARPA funding and vote today, I think it's important to know who the other folks are that are visiting and online and in the room too.
That works. So Jason De Bueno.
Jason DeBueno, Silver Key Senior Services here in Colorado Springs.
Thank you. Kathy Lowry.
Kathy Lowry, Teller Senior Coalition.
And that's all who's online. I will also ask the others who are in person.
Hi, Cynthia Margiotto with Pearls Program of Colorado.
Hi, Melody Hanna, Program Services and Contract Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
I have my mic on now and you can hear me. We're going to go on to action items, which is in regarding to the ARP.
Madam Chair, if we could, public comments are next. And this will be really quick and easy. So we did not receive any requests for public comment in advance. Anyone who's online who is not a member of the RAC, please use the raise hand function if you'd like to make a public comment. And if there's anyone in person who would like to make a public comment who is not a member of the RAC, please step up to the podium. I do not see anyone raising their hand. Oh, we do have Jason. So I do have one person who would like to make public comment at this time.
Go ahead, Jason.
I just wanted to thank this committee and the staff that have moved forward with evaluating the ARPA applications. I know that that's a tall order in a short period of time. And I know that this is not the end process of approval, but the recommendations come forward. Thanks for all the work on that. And I know that a lot of the entities that have applied appreciate that work as well.
Thank you for your comments.
And I'll ask if there's anyone else online who would like to make a public comment. Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, Madam Chair, now we can move to action items.
Thank you. The discussion today is ARPA funding approval.
Hi, everyone. This is Melody, Program Services and Contract Administrator. I understand Jen Ninmo is on her way into the office, so I'll go ahead and get us started. And then if she wanted to add comments for the TRS, she can do so. So I'm going to go through the applicants, and in the meeting packet, there is a breakdown too of the ARPA funding. So that includes, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough. So that includes all of the applicants, the projects, their order of prioritization that the applicants chose, the total project cost. So that number may be much larger than what they're requesting from Pikes Peak AAA in case they are getting other grant awards or donations, those kinds of things. Their ARPA requests from us, what the TRS is proposing to fund them at. And then there's an awarded column where we can fill that in once this committee decides and takes a vote on that. So our full ARPA contract amount was at $2,345,928. We do take an indirect rate off of that. So the contract amount less that indirect is, excuse me, $1,818,798. The application request total that we received actually came in under that. So it was at $1,804,126. So our TRS is proposing that we spend the entire amount of the ARPA amount that we receive, less the indirect. So we're excited to say that the TRS is proposing to fund all of the applicants at their full amounts and some of them at a little bit more so that we can spend the entire amount. So the applicants, I'm going to just briefly run through them and explain who they are. And then if anyone has any questions, please let me know. So the first one is Awake the Lake. They're a new applicant organization and not a current contracted provider. The town of Palmer Lake is allocating a parcel of parkland for them, and they have strong in-kind donations, an excellent track record of fundraising. They're requesting funds to create pickleball courts and restrooms that will be located near the courts. So they have strong community support. There's a confidence that the project will be completed. Our TRS chair, Jen Nimmo, encouraged them to reach out to us to see what could be brought to Palmer Lake since they have a high population of older adults. And it hits on several high concerns: health and wellness, reducing social isolation, and free opportunities for older adults and their community. Any questions about that one? Okay, going to keep moving on. Community of Caring, they're a current contracted provider located in Cripple Creek. They have a need for grocery delivery. They requested funds for 3 projects: their senior activity center, infrastructure support for a senior advocacy program, and then finally the third one is a food security vehicle where they would do the grocery delivery. So they're currently serving as a community hub, so they want to expand that. They want to renovate their administrative and workforce center area, and they're currently funded through the Colorado Springs Health Foundation, but they need funds for IT, computers, printers, phones, and then this new vehicle instead of what they're currently using with a used vehicle. So we want to approve that. The TRS recommended that. They were requesting a used vehicle. We're going to recommend that they actually can purchase a new one with these funds so that they can get a better life out of that one. So the TRS recommends funding at the full amount for number 1 and 2, and then an additional amount for number 3. Any questions on Community of Caring? Okay. Disability Services. They had 2 requests, one for a vehicle, and then their second one is security cameras, procurement, and installation. The vehicle, they hope to provide an additional 2,500 rides. It's an ADA vehicle preferred by older adult riders. They have, with this vehicle, it would have lower operating costs than other specialized transit vehicles. They don't have any other funding sources for this one, and they would purchase this one immediately. Their security cameras, they've had difficulty with some crime in their area, in their parking lot, again, with their vehicles. And so there's some major security concerns, which is why they want to purchase and install these cameras. And then also have cameras installed inside the vehicle for liability purposes and for the protection of the riders. There are no concerns from the TRS with this request. I see a question. Yes, Mary. Will you turn on your, thank you.
What is the area that this agency covers?
They're at Academy and Vickers.
So it's a Colorado Springs.
Oh, sorry, where they're located. Yeah, so they cover El Paso County, and they actually go into eastern El Paso County too. Yes, good question. Thank you. Strong support for this type of vehicle, as it is likely all-wheel drive and suitable for wheelchair entry with a lower lift. So strong requests from them, and the TRS recommends funding at full amount. Any questions about that? Okay, Greshio Housing. And Jen just arrived. Do you want me to keep going, Jen? Okay, and then if you want to jump in with anything that I may miss. Greshio Housing, they are a new applicant organization, not a current contracted provider. They had 3 requests. The first one, a van for their Sunrise at Shiloh Mesa location. Number 2 was current properties preservation. And number 3, replacing an apartment complex and renaming it Center Point Apartments. So the first one, with the van, the location, it's part of a long-range mixed-use development plan, and there currently is no transportation stop. There may be one in the future, but for right now, there is not. So they're requesting funds for a vehicle. We're going to discuss with them about it possibly being ADA. We want to make sure that it is. And they do have other sources of funding. You can see that their total project cost is higher than what they were requesting. The second one, the affordable housing preservation, it's for their existing properties on the west side. The majority of the individuals who live there are 55 and older. They plan to complete that by September 2026. The third one, CenterPoint Apartments, it's to replace their Pikes Peak building. The majority of individuals there are also 55 plus. They currently have no other funding sources for that one, and it is in the earliest stages of pre-development. So they don't have a timeline just yet, as they are in the beginning planning stages. So in their application, they noted they had many other funding sources for support, including the low-income housing tax credits, City of Colorado Springs, CDOH, and the Meyer and Stratton Foundation. Their primary funding source is the Colorado Springs Health Foundation. The TRS recommends funding at the full amount for them. Any questions?
Can you just mention that CenterPoint apartment thing, that money is for planning?
Yes. So CenterPoint Apartments, thank you, Debbie. It is for planning purposes only since they are in pre-development, so it won't be for the actual building itself. Thank you, Debbie. Eyesight Connections, they had one request for technology expansion. Their IT equipment is to support and grow services. They have strong planning and timeline phases in their application, and they're currently working with closely with Peak Vista with their CFO and the building committee to secure space for a technology lab for people with visual impairment. They plan to complete that in a year. They will have eventual donated space from Peak Vista for this computer lab and office space, and they plan to have their the whole building plan finalized next month. It doesn't depend on securing ARPA funds. They will have this space regardless, located at Peak Vista's main facility on Academy and North Carefree. They noted 200 clients that they would serve through this, and all of those will be 60 years of age and older. They did have one request for an unallowed marketing expense, so the TRS recommended moving that and to a different provider. So the TRS recommends funding at the full amount less that $600. Yes, Mary.
When you said that the lab was available for those with a limited vision, is that just the staff of that group or is it
No,
the 200?
the 200 clients. Yes. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Okay. Licensed Dental, you may all be familiar. They're currently in a space where the city, they're being asked to move. So they have already purchased a building and they plan to provide the first floor to older adult focused organizations. This is a really exciting application. They have 3 requests, one for community dental health improvements for their dental equipment, the Community Dental Health Center for renovations, and then the third one is called Community Access and Collaborations. So the, let me see, the first one, with that, they're requesting funding for updating donated dental equipment, replace failing dental equipment, expanding their front office, and doing staff training. They want to include a community conference room and resource center for those organizations that serve older adults. They've showed space to rehab physical therapy. They're meeting with Pillar, Care Patrol Senior Care Solutions, New Vision Professional Services, potentially a variety of others. So helping provide space for those organizations that may not be able to cover rent completely themselves. They do have funding from the City of Colorado Springs. They have grant proposals in process for Colorado Springs Health Foundation and Next 50. Let's see what else there is from them. Michelle Vaca is hoping, the executive director for Licensed Dental, is hoping that bringing these communities together, they will have stronger opportunities for applying for other grant programs. So having them all there together rather than them applying separately, they could all apply together and just make their applications stronger. And then for those organizations that may have stronger staff and don't have grant writers on their staff, she can provide that expertise and really they can leverage all of their strengths together. Any questions about them? Okay, TRS recommends funding them at the full amount. New Vision Professional Services. So they were another organization that were asked to move from their current location near the Colorado Springs Senior Center. So their application is for relocation expenses and being located in the new licensed dental building. They're requesting funding for ADA accessible restrooms, meeting rooms, office and kitchen. They have funding from the City of Colorado Springs and they're looking to complete this by December 2023. They chose to apply separately as they will own their own space from Licensed Dental. There were no concerns with this request and the TRS recommends funding at the full amount. Any question on them? Okay, Silver Key. Silver Key has 3 requests: a transportation collaboration with Disability Services and Fountain Valley Senior Center, a collaboration with NAMI, and IT infrastructure. So the first one with transportation. This is a collaboration between Silver Key, Disability Services, also known as Envita, and Fountain Valley. Silver Key is covering the match portion for all 3 organizations. This is to pay for route match and the dispatching program for a year. It would increase rides to 4,000 over the next year. They noted that they could continue based on partial funding, but then each organization would have to draw from their own reserves. The timeline would be complete in a year. This is a strong application since these 3 are applying together, and the coordination would cover the service areas so that there aren't duplicative efforts. The second one for NAMI, that's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. That would expand the office space that is currently owned by Silver Key, that is occupied by NAMI. It would increase the number of evidence-based mental health services and support groups for older adults, so very important services. They would also use this funding for mental health first aid courses for caregivers, their current 5 Wishes seminars, cultural competency trainings, and then also expand to yoga, art, and exercise classes. They have a match from the Colorado Springs CDBG and Diversus Health from SB 202, and their timeline, they would look to complete this by September 2023. The third project is IT infrastructure. They're currently using a mix of old and new tech. So they're requesting for Wi-Fi, computers, laptops for systems out of warranty, and software. And their timeline, they're looking to have their Wi-Fi upgraded by December 2023 and have all funds spent by September 2026. So some TRS notes from the discussion. There have been challenges with route match software. So Silver Key has requested a 6-month contract. They also have other funding sources for this from HICPUF. Our own staff member, Laura Cruz, she's highly involved with this guiding and planning, and has really been working closely with them about that. There's no concerns or questions with this request, also with the other 2, and it was a very strong application. So TRS recommends funding at the full amount. Any questions on Silver Key? Moving on, so we have 2 more left. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. I appreciate it. Teller Senior Coalition. They requested funds for multiple projects to support current services. So they have a prioritized list of 11 different things. So this includes projects for transportation, home delivered meals, IT. They're requesting a van with a ramp, a replacement vehicle, a replacement home delivered meal freezer, a 4-drawer locking file cabinet for client confidentiality, desktop computers, desks, driver's cell phones, vehicle cameras, iPads, conference room chairs, and office refrigerators. So really lots of upgrades needed for equipment that may be failing or new items that they need to replace older existing ones. So lots of great things with transportation, a van with a side entry ramp, the vehicle cameras, they're looking for the reach-in freezer for their home delivered meals. The priority for them is the vehicle. They included a great detailed priority list. They do have other funding foundation grant revenue. They're hoping to secure the van with the ramp this year, the Subaru replacement vehicle this year or early 2024, and the remaining items purchased this year. There were no concerns or questions with this request, and the TRS recommends funding at full amount. Yes, I see a question.
A question. The cameras for the vehicles, are those the ones to monitor the driver's safety?
Yes. Good question. Thank you. And apparently that's an industry theme I learned from our staff member, Laura Cruz, for insurance purposes, is to be able to, in case there is something that happens with liability, to be able to have a recording of those things. Good question. Thank you. So TRS recommends funding that one at full amount. Any other questions? Okay, the last one, YMCA. They had 2 requests for number 1 for equipment, number 2 cybersecurity software. They're transitioning their classes because of the remodel for the Colorado Springs Senior Center. They're transitioning their classes to other Y locations for that temporary closure. They've had a great response for partnership with the Westside Community Center, and they've confirmed that classes will be moved to Downtown YMCA, Southeast YMCA, First and Main YMCA, and then the Westside Community Center. So the capital equipment would be for data collection and analysis for their Moving for Better Balance balance classes, which we currently fund. The laptops are designed for their instructors. They're really moving to paperless assessments. They've done that over the last, I think, year and a half. So it's been a big project for them. They're currently using their personal laptops and phones as hotspots, so trying to get that upgraded so their instructors are not asked to have to do that, and can have those laptops and iPads that are really designed for those instructors specifically. The last day for the public, so that you're all aware, for them to be open is June 16th. They'll close out their registered classes for 1 week, and then July 1st, excuse me, is their hard deadline for being out of the building. They're expecting 22 to 24 months for the rebuild, so their timeline is immediately for purchasing these. Pikes Peak AAA has offered conference room space for their groups that may need to meet during the transition. Let's see, the TRS recommended funding at the full amount plus 600 that would be moved from that unallowed marketing expense from eyesight. Jen recommended that they have a purchase of laptop bags, one of those little details that is important to keep that new equipment in good shape. So we wanted to offer that to them as well. That is all of them. Deep breath. What questions, comments, concerns, or Jen, if you wanted to jump in with anything that I may have missed?
No, I think you covered it beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from anyone?
Some of it, small amount. A small amount sounded like it might not have been hardware. Is that a problem? It's not a problem because you had the money, but is that a problem with the funders?
I don't believe so, no. The $600 actually was from another agency that was requesting like logoed shirts that fell outside of the,
No, I
Yeah.
got that part, but some of the
So-
other funded items sounded like
Right.
they may not have been
so,
capo.
so this $600 would be towards capital because it is actual equipment for protecting laptops. So
Okay.
it's not like a marketing piece of the protecting equipment. It's gonna be able to keep it safe and protect
should've-
the investment.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I should have noted it, but I thought as we went through, it sounded like a few of the items weren't capital.
And I think that's a great question, Jim, because I think we're
Mhm.
used to thinking of capital as we're building a building. We're doing bricks and mortar. That is traditionally what capital is. So with
Right.
this funding, fortunately, there's an expanded definition of that capital can include other items that would help with program services. So it can be equipment, and equipment can be things like chairs. So things that we're not normally able to fund out of our AAA base funding because so much of that has to go towards direct program services, like personnel, paying for salary, paying for the meals themselves, paying for material aids, so things like glasses or dentures or hearing aids, those kinds of things. And so this has a much broader scope to it, which is really wonderful, especially for organizations like Teller, where these are all actually capital items that they wouldn't normally be able to get funded unless we did have extra funding
no,
for
it's a great-
capital.
No, it's a great
Yeah,
program.
but I think that is a good thing to mention about what that definition of capital is. and-
Broader.
Yeah,
pretty broad.
exactly.
Okay.
It
Exactly.
is. Yeah, it includes infrastructure, economic recovery, I think even hiring of personnel. At some point, some of the funds will hire that,
Yeah, I think that's
remote
what I keyed
areas.
on. That sounded more like salary and training. One of them
Right.
was training, I think.
Yeah,
And so I just didn't want to get us in trouble.
yeah, no, we reviewed the definitions
Okay, cool.
very closely to
Cool.
make sure that we were within the guidelines. Yeah,
And that's why you all are here, is to make sure
Exactly.
that these recommendations fall
Yeah.
under that. So thank you.
yes, thank you for the question.
On that same topic, I was curious about the word, you used the word protective equipment for the computers.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about actually protecting the computers themselves from like lightning or something? Or are you talking about cybersecurity?
So we're talking about protective laptop bags because they are going to be in transition and going back and forth from different spaces.
Okay.
We felt that it was important for them to have a padded bag that would protect the equipment, in case somebody's got it in their car and they've got their hands full of all their stuff. Laptop hits the parking lot and boom, it's gone.
Right.
So,
Good plan.
yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So this is Melissa, and I'd like to just make a comment, and I don't, Jared, if you can, I think maybe scroll to the bottom of this page, maybe I saw it, or definitely it's on the chart itself. But, you know, when we look at the overall impact and cost of these projects, it's over $10 million. And so I think it's really exciting for our region to see that, you know, these funds were able to contribute to some pretty significant projects over the course of the next 2 years in our region. And we could be really proud to be a part of that. You know, $10 million in infrastructure growth is something to be super excited about, and to know that we are contributing $1.8 million towards that is pretty impressive. And I know Jen will have a moment of thanks for the group too, but I also wanted to extend my thanks to everybody who jumped in so quickly, as Jason mentioned earlier, and really thought about these projects, learned about some new organizations and new resources in our community, which also makes a difference, and really pleased about it. And I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say the same, or kind of echo similar. I think when I was looking at this, these proposal documents and kind of reviewing it before our meeting this morning, I was struck by how, in this type of situation, as the RAC and as our organizations kind of independently, it really does show how we're able to kind of work together towards a much, much larger goal overall. You know, to be fair, nearly $2 million is not a small amount of money, and I recognize that, but at the same time, that is, you know, fivefold the impact that it's actually going to be in the community as a whole. And I think that's something to be proud of, that each of us are able to be part of that. And as the RAC, we get to participate in helping disperse those resources towards that larger work that's being done by each of the organizations represented.
Thanks, Eric.
Jen, I'm just wondering if you're going to comment on ARPA and what the issue may be with the ARPA, or if somebody, a staff member, will discuss what the issue is with the ARPA funds. And
tell me more what you mean by that.
Well, depending upon what the federal government does with the debt ceiling, whether all of those ARPA funds will actually be available to the contractors. I know we notified the contractors about that possibility, but I think it might be good to let our RAC people know.
I'm going to let Melody.
Yeah, so thank you, Debbie. So some of you may have seen in the news that there are debt ceiling negotiations going on right now, and that ARPA may be affected by that. So what we have been advised is that as long as we have those funds allocated before the September deadline, then, and we have those in contracts, then those funds should be protected. We do put into all of our contracts, including our AAA base funding, that depending on what happens at the federal or state level, we may be awarded more or less because of the state contracting process as well. And there are other things with allocation formulas, all kinds of fun stuff that happens at higher levels. So with ARPA specifically, as long as we have those allocated by September, which going through this process with you all approving at these amounts more or less, and then our board of directors doing the same thing, our goal is to have these funds contracted by mid-June. So that would be before even our July 1st AAA base funding. So trying to work on this as quickly as possible so that we can have those funds allocated and dedicated to these applicants. Any questions about that? Hopefully that explains that. Okay.
Thank you, Mel.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
I just want to thank everyone who jumped on last minute. It was an incredibly fast turnaround. I think the proposals came in by, I want to say a Thursday or Friday, maybe. And between Jody, Melissa, and Melody, I don't know, Jared have a help in this too. I don't know. It just seemed like there was a lot of magic that went on behind the scenes because we had these proposals given to us and within days, the TRS assembled. We got this together and were able to review the funds and the proposals and discuss this. It would not have been possible without everyone's support. So I really wanted to thank Marilyn, B, Debbie, Bill, Jody, Melissa, everyone, honestly. It's a true significant impact to our community. The providers that we support, it's increased our exposure to providers that we could even work with in the future, which is something that aligns with our strategic plan. Just saying, putting that out there. But most importantly, to the seniors that we serve, and that means a lot to me. So thank you.
And I'll just make one other comment. It was a lot easier that we didn't have to deny anybody funding. That would have been a much more difficult process.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you, Jen, for everything that you've done for the project and for the 4-year plan as well.
Glad to help. Thanks.
Sorry, I'd like to make a general comment and an applause that is silent from our larger community, but we can help to share this news with them. I often ask people, do you know how your money, your tax money that you send in, how does that come back to you? Do you see any of it in your community? And most people will say, oh, no. And I think this is a very obvious way of explaining how the community ourselves really get involved in figuring out what is needed. What do we need personally right here? We need one more vehicle for these reasons. And this is who's going to benefit from it. That right down to the very nitty gritty is one of the things that we as citizens, I think, often miss. And so we aren't just this funny little organization with a name that is confusing because we think we're an automobile association. So I just would like to point that out as this is a huge highlight. How many millions of dollars? And what does that do for us in this town? So I just had to say that.
Thank you for saying it.
Thank you all.
So
Do I hear a motion?
thank you, Madam Chair. I was just gonna kind of say that. So you got it.
You a second? Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye or raise aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So I just wanted to note quickly that the next stage for this is in June, I think June 12th or 14th. 14th, thank you. June 14th, this will move forward with our board of directors for them to review and vote. And then we will send notifications to applicants and the contract documents. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Going forward to information items and presentations, we don't have a presentation today. We allowed enough time so we could thoroughly discuss the allocations. And membership subcommittee is Rosemary. She has notified me that she wouldn't be able to participate today, so we'll skip that. And I think we've really heard a lot from the strategic review subcommittee. Do you have any other comments?
Not at this time, but thank you.
And we have the director's report. Keep in mind that Jody is on his vacation right now. So do you have a report from Jody?
So this is Melissa, and I do not have a formal report, and Melody and I are both kind of looking at each other. Jody finished up a lot of things before he left to travel on his vacation to Italy, right? So yeah, big deal. So no, I don't think we have a director's report. But what I wanted to share is for those of you who don't know, Jody was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Senior Resource Council Joe Henjum Award event that happened a few weeks back. So yes, he was really a recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award. And since he's not in the room, I'll just kind of laugh and say, ha, that indicates he's been around a long time. He so doesn't want it to be known that way. But it was really an honor and privilege to know that Senior Resource Council and people in the region saw the work that he's done over the years and brought it forward and honored him. He had his kids and his wife there. There were lots of tears. Andy Gunning attended as well, which was wonderful. And Kent Matthews actually did the introduction to bring him up on stage. Kent Matthews, our family caregiver support staff person. It was a really wonderful, great night and a nice opportunity to thank Jody. So just wanted to mention that. And from the AAA, I don't know that we have a whole lot of updates to share right this minute because it's been all about ARPA. I'm trying to think. Okay, thank you. So Laura is here too. And so giving an announcement that the Area Agency on Aging and PPACG has been the recipient of 3 VISTA volunteers coming our way. And so that's super exciting for people who aren't aware of VISTA programs. It's a really neat opportunity to get some extra really brilliant support on deck at organizations to help launch programs, to help do infrastructure work. And so we are bringing 3 people on, 1 person for the Area Agency on Aging to build out a volunteer program. So for those of you who've been hearing us talk about that for the last year, the VISTA will actually be helping to implement that. And then within the PPACG, we have 2 more VISTAs who are going to be working on driver safety campaign, traffic safety campaign work and messaging and what goes on with that. And then we also have the beginnings of what we want to do is a futures forum for the PPACG. And so the 3rd VISTA will be working on that. So we are working to bring them on hopefully by July, and they'll be coming around and people will get to meet them, especially the AAA one. I don't know how much interaction we'll have with the other 2, but the one that's going to work with the Area Agency on Aging will be around a lot working on the volunteer program. So we're excited for that. And any other?
Melissa,
Yes.
how long do they come for?
We will have them for really about a year. The VISTA program itself runs for 18 months, but by the time we have them, hopefully it'll be a full year. So
How many hours do they?
they'll be here 40 hours a week. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And they receive a stipend. And so they do get some funding, but not a whole lot. And the VISTA volunteer, they come from a variety of areas. It could be an older adult who applies and wants to be a VISTA volunteer, which is great. It could also be college students who are just graduating from college and want to do VISTA work. So, and it could just be someone else who kind of got wind of the VISTA program and has decided to apply. So, well, it covers, the kind of an income, and then they have to use that to cover housing. There's not an additional separate housing stipend per se. Yeah. So housing is a challenge, and we'll see how that goes. There are some opportunities in our community with rooms for rent. So we'll see what the people need when they apply in terms of housing. We'll have to be definitely keeping our eyes open for that. Jen?
What is the process that we were able to get the vistas?
So Laura and I have been talking about this for a long time. Both Laura and I have done quite a bit with VISTA volunteers, and we've been talking about it forever. We had a couple of opportunities over the last year and a half to take advantage of it, but we were doing other things. And then finally, the timing came together now, and we got on the phone with the Vista Regional Office and got it rolling. And so finally it's happened. And so we're excited for that. There's some other details there too, but I think I'm going to leave it out because it's kind of complicated. But yeah,
So my follow-up question was gonna be, so is that something that we think would be ongoing?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And the
Yay.
complicated part that I'm leaving out right now even shows how much we think it's going to be ongoing. So
Okay.
stay tuned for,
All right,
for
I'll
future
stop asking.
updates.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, but PPACG is very excited to do Vista and so are we. So
That's incredible.
yeah, yeah.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, thanks for that director update opportunity. And again, super congratulations to Jody and everybody who's known him over all the years and that happened. So very good.
Thank you very much. I like the way you guys have presented it because it is what we went through during the meeting and helped us make decisions. And I think the members of the RAC should have that opportunity also. And that's what Melody has done for us. And I would just like to say about the Vista people, this is life-changing for some people when they do well, this is stipend. Thank goodness there's a stipend, but it changes the trajectory of their future plans and what they want to work. They may decide they don't want to work in something that they do, but I was a congressional intern in DC when I was 46 years old, and it changed the direction of my life. And I've valued greatly the opportunities that were given to me. And I'm excited for this next year, but it's still 23. But I really appreciate each of you. And because some of you, and I know how far you come to be participants in this. And that just shows me your dedication and that you really want to be there for your people. I'm just excited about doing that. And I'd like to come and I want to start visiting. And I will probably start doing that in June. I'm excited for me to learn more about what you do. And that's my goal. It's been challenging because this is a new type position for me. I've never done any Robert's Rules of Laws or whatever it's called in 20 years. So we did things differently, but we were the government, so that makes difference what you do there. Anyway, I just am very pleased that you're here today and that those of you online that have been willing to participate and be here and help us make decisions. Is there any further discussion items that someone wants to bring up?
Is that like a good of the order kind of comment or something from the agenda? Or I did have something I wanted to say.
Okay.
All right. I mentioned this a couple of months ago that I am now a member of the support committee for the Pikes Peak National Cemetery. And even to this date, 4 or 5 years after it started, there are many, many people in the area that don't know that we have a national cemetery. If you are involved in any way with a veterans organization or an organization for the older folks, and you would like us to come with a presentation and tell you about the cemetery and what are some of the things you need to do for your veterans to help them to get involved with that, please just let me know.
Well, thank you for sharing that because I agree with you. There's not a lot of people that know that exists. I participated in the Christmas wreath program is the only reason I knew it existed. And is there anyone else that would like to?
Oh, and there will be a ceremony on Memorial Day starting at 10 o'clock. Parking will be extremely limited and cumbersome process. So if you're coming, you might want to bring a picnic breakfast and get yourself parked by 8 o'clock.
Thank you. Having been there once, I would agree with her. Parking is difficult.
The whole length of Drennan Road there, yeah. But thank you.
Melissa, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I'd like to just make a comment that May was Older Americans Month, and we kicked that off not too long ago at the end of April with the RAC meeting and the provider fair that happened, and everybody getting together and kind of talking about how to kind of break boundaries and do more around aging. And it's been an interesting month, for me, meeting some different folks, and I had an opportunity to do a presentation for AARP earlier in the month and got to meet some really actively engaged older adults who were also challenging themselves in many, many ways. And I wanted to just share two stories from that experience. One was there were some caregivers in the room, and a couple of those caregivers had been isolated for quite a few years. They had been just really wrapped up in taking care of their family members and absolutely not doing anything. And fortunately, they had a friend that was in the room with them who really encouraged them to get out and come to that event that day, which was literally me doing a presentation about the Area Agency on Aging and the different services that we have. So not too exciting, but yet exciting enough that they came and got some lunch and had a really good time. But the caregivers were able to talk about how important it was for them to really have to step outside of their family box and get out again, and how hard it was for them to do that day, and that they were so grateful that they did. Just something so simple, but yet it is not simple at all. And the other fun story of that day was an older man who, just super active fella, had a really promising, wonderful career that he spent a lot of his years doing great things. But then when he retired, he really wasn't sure what to do with himself. And he has found himself working the gig economy as an Uber driver and is having just the best time ever. He gets to meet people. He loves driving, but he never would have thought that he would have, done it as a paid job to drive people around and get to meet people and get out and do something that he loves, but yet he's also getting a few extra dollars while he's doing it. So it was fun to hear those stories and talk to those folks. And so then closing out May, Aging Unbound, I want to mention that in June, it's World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And we have kind of a World Elder Abuse Awareness Day blitz happening. And so I'm going to mention a couple of dates for people if you're interested. Thanks to our Pikes Peak Elder Abuse Coalition and the work of our ombudsman, we have some conversations happening across the region during June. And so starting June 13th in Calhan, and then also in Monument, we have two conversations happening in our two areas out there. And if people want to come, let me know. I'll give you specific locations and dates or times. But anyway, on the 13th, we have some conversations happening in Calhan and in Monument. And then on the 16th, Teller at their farmers market, APS and the Teller Senior Coalition will be spreading the message at the farmers market about World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, letting people know kind of what that means and how older adults can be more active and engaged and take care of themselves. And then also, again, on the 23rd, the Teller Senior Coalition is going to be hosting a conversation before their bingo event up in Teller County. So Teller County is kind of doing two things. Then in Park County, in Fairplay on the 19th is another conversation happening up in Park County. And then we'll be closing out the month of June with probably one of the most important ones that the ombudsmen are leading on the 28th. They will be having their resident council presidents, who are the presidents at the long-term care communities, coming to a conversation to talk about preventing elder abuse. So whole month of June, all kinds of opportunities to, talk a little bit about, some things around how to be more proactive and smart. It's also an opportunity to really think about how to take care of your family members. So stay tuned for that and mark your calendars. Reach out to me if you want more specifics. And I think those are my discussion items to share today.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
I
I was going to say Eric Bidwell has his hand raised online.
Yeah, I
Please
was
go
just
ahead,
going to.
Eric.
Thank you. I was just going to kind of piggyback to and add one more item to what Melissa had said. On the 13th of June at 9 o'clock at Lewis Palmer High School, the Board of County Commissioners is going to recognize World Elder Abuse Day through a proclamation. And so anyone that would like to attend potentially to support that, there'll be some discussion briefly about the importance of that and recognizing abuse and neglect that occurs, and then also just the awareness in general. And so I would encourage anyone that's interested. That's June 13th at 9 a.m. at Lewis Palmer High School this year. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. I really like when people let us know what's happening. We can't participate, and if we're not participating, we're not spreading the message that we exist. Because I talked to there's very few people that even know that we're here. And I'm delighted that we can be participating in some of these things. And I'm thinking that as we get pleasure from serving others, which is what we all do here, is serving others. I'm delighted to hear about the man driving the van, because that enlarges his life, gives him sociability and pride in doing a good job and helping someone else. So I just encourage all of you to tell people you exist in what we have here. It's I think this is unique, and there's a lot of AAAs, but I think we are unique in the fact that we work together and hand in hand with our subcontractors. Thank you all for being here. Our next meeting is
Madam Chair,
yes.
so sorry to interrupt. We had Mary who looked like we interrupted for Eric, and then Maria Cordova is also online.
Oh,
with her hand raised.
wonderful.
So we still got discussion that people are looking to.
Okay,
Mary?
my question was, Fountain is a pretty large area, and I didn't know anything about this Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and there's nothing programmed for the area of Fountain to recognize this, and at least on your schedule. And I'm wondering, is it too late to get something added to a schedule? And Mark is out there somewhere, right?
I think Mark did step off, but I am happy to reach out to him and see about us dropping by the Fountain Valley Senior Center with some information and an opportunity to engage with Fountain Valley Senior Center for sure.
I'd
If
like
that's-
to be
yeah.
part of that.
You bet. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have one more comment. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Hi. Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Just having some technical issues today. I just wanted to share with everyone that in July, I was trying to merge June and July. The Independence Center is going to be hosting an ADA celebration event called our Festival. This will be the second year that we're doing that. If anyone's interested in being a vendor, we do still have some tables open, but it's an open event, open to the public. And we're going to have some food trucks. We'll have ADA accessible activities and events going on that day. If you want more information, I'll throw my email in the chat and you can reach out to me. And I'll get you in touch with Joe and Scotty. They're the ones that are setting up the vendor tables. I also wanted to let you know that I travel quite a bit in Teller, Park, and El Paso and Teller counties, and I'm in touch with someone from the Park County Public Health, and they said that they're going to be having 7 resource meetings throughout the summer, and they're going to be sending out that information. So I'll be happy to share that with anyone interested in attending those in Park County. And then also wanted to put out there that the Fountain Valley Community Services meetings are monthly, and a lot of organizations meet to share information and also have presentations. So stuff is happening, and I'm happy to share. If anyone wants to visit the Independence Center, please also reach out. We can set up a tour. And we also have community members come in to do presentations for our staff. So if anyone wants to do that, please reach out.
Wonderful. What date was that? Would you
The-
repeat? July what?
Yes, so it is July 26th, and it will be located at the Independence Center at 729 South Tejon Street.
Maria, this is Jen. Nemo, if you could please email me those events that are happening in Park County, I would love to know about those. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Will do.
Any further
Maria,
discussion?
could you email me a contact for the Fountain Valley Community Services Committee?
Yes, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you. It's from Mary Kat.
I'd like to have one too. Maybe we ought to send one and then distribute it so that will make opportunities, because I've got these written down in dates, but I'm not going to remember them, you know, the dates. And I'm looking forward to learning more about our seniors and how things are done, because I do know somebody that was questioning about how to get help for elder abuse, and was what happening considered elder abuse. And so this is great that we participate in this month and learn more ourselves so we can help others that are in situations. And our next meeting is June 22nd.
Super important to
Yeah,
know
it is.
where it's
Great.
happening.
Well, good. I wanted to go up there. So now I've got a reason. Cripple Creek, it's going to be at the Community of Caring and the Aspen Mine Center. I haven't been up there in a long time, so I'm sure that there are improvements, and your ongoing helping others, and your population there has the number of people participating in what you do, I think has increased. So let's see. But
Isn't it gonna be held at Aspen Mine offices?
yes,
Will there be staff going
June 22nd.
so others can come up with you? Great.
So I'll just add on a little bit more, that we will be coordinating carpools for people who want to go do that, except for Bill, who will come on his own from, which he always does, from Park County. Anyway, but from Colorado Springs, we will be coordinating carpools. So you can reach out to me and let me know, and we'll make sure that we all get up to Cripple Creek, and most likely we would end up going out to lunch afterwards up there. So plan for that as well.
We have a lot of activities going on. Gives us a lot of opportunities to participate and to share our knowledge with other people, and have them share what's happening with us. So if there's no other discussion.
I just want to, can some of those things that were mentioned with the dates, can they be added to the minutes?
I'll actually type up things that I know right now with dates and send it out now, because the minutes won't come out until too late.
Great.
So
Thank
I'll
you.
be happy to type those up. I'm going to wait for Maria to send me some, if she has specific dates for Fountain Valley and the Park County stuff. I'm going to give it a little couple days or so. So stay tuned, and then I'll send that out with all the dates.
Is there any other further comments? Yeah, the meeting is adjourned.